What is up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexis. Today we had a bit of a change of plans for videos. It's just really dawned on me how important Sunday is that I need to make a video on the final day of the Premier League. We've had dramatic final days before with lots on the line, but I don't think I've seen a final day in the Premier League in my 21 years, nearly 22 years watching the Premier League, with this much at stake. With the title still not decided, the final top 4 place not decided, the Conference Leagues and Europa League space not being decided yet, even the final relegation place not being decided either. That is 4 important positions that still need to be determined, and 8 of the final 10 Premier League games have a bearing on these outcomes. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to start from the bottom of the Premier League all the way up to the top. So we'll talk about the games that affect the relegation battle first, then the Conference League, then top 4, and then the title. And it's really going to be a final preview, predictions on 8 of those games. I'll also predict the other 2 non-important games later on as well, just for fun. But guys, today is your chance to finally get your final predictions of the Premier League and tell me who you think is going to win the title, who's going to get top 4, who's going to get the final Europa League place, and who do you think is getting relegated. Those are the 4 positions I would like you guys to predict. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It tremendously helps the channel. Let's aim for 20 likes. That'd be terribly appreciative. Please do hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me. And please share this video to as many people as you can. All of that really helps too. But without any further ado, let's go on with these final Premier League 21-22 predictions. So as I said, we're going to go into the relegation battle first, and there are 2 games that have a bearing of this relegation battle. Brentford versus Leeds and Burnley versus Newcastle. Let's talk about the Brentford and Leeds game first, because as you can see, Leeds are the team right here that are currently 18th place. No win in their last 5, not since they beat Watford. They have been winless, and those 3 defeats in a row, obviously they had Chelsea, Arsenal and Man City in those 3. It's been a very tough couple of games for Leeds. It's found them in a really bad position. They will be in the bottom 3 go to the final day. They've got to play against a Brentford side in 11th place right now, where look at that, 4 wins out of their last 6. They've actually got a decent form, Brentford. That defeat did come against Manchester United and then drawing against Spurs as well. So they've definitely actually had some great results against the teams around them. A 2-0 win over West Ham, 2-1 over Watford, 3-0 over Southampton, and 3-2 recently over Everton. So against the teams around them, as you can see, Brentford have been able to get the job done. So Leeds are going to have to make sure that they do not fall into that, because a defeat for Leeds would definitely see them down. Now, in the other head-to-head record, as you can very well see, it was a 2-2 draw the last time in the Premier League here. So as you can see, Brentford down themselves in a 2-1 lead, and it was near, around the halfway stage, the 5th of December. But a 94th minute equaliser by Patrick Bamford, who got booked for a celebration as well, Luke Ayling with the assist. And that point there actually puts Leeds, in a decent-ish position, actually. A much better position than they were right now. But it still would have seen them in the bottom 3 regardless. If we're looking about previous head-to-head records, if you look at that, a draw is the most likely result after the last 6 games. Leeds have got a slightly stronger record than what Brentford do. But the circumstances are, because of their worse goal difference than Burnley, they have to better Burnley's results. If they don't, then Leeds are down. Let's now go back to the table and look at Burnley and Newcastle. So Burnley, as you can see, are on 35 points. Yesterday they picked up a very crucial away point against Aston Villa, which meant they have found themselves in, 17th place and outside of the relegation zone. And what has really helped, look at that, those 3 wins in a row when Michael Jackson was in charge. Southampton, which I did a watch along for, Wolves and Watford, those 3 wins in a row have really given Burnley a good fighting chance for this. they place a Newcastle side, which they are one place below Brentford. So to be fair, Leeds and Burnley facing very similar opposition in the table. And likewise with Brentford, Newcastle have won 4 in their last 6. They squeezed 2 defeats, but they were, to be fair, against the top 2 in Man City and Liverpool. So there's no disgrace of them losing those games. The head-to-head record between Burnley and Newcastle looks like this. As you can see, Newcastle with a slightly stronger record than Burnley. The last game between them was a 1-0 win, and actually I think this was Newcastle's first win of the season against this Burnley team. Callum Wilson. So guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this was when Newcastle got their first win of the season all the way back in the 4th of December. Wilson with the goal share with the assist. Very frustrating day for Sean Dyche's 4-4-2. Eddie Howe does get on top of that. So maybe it wasn't their first win, but definitely it was one of their very few wins that they had at that time. They still would have been in the relegation zone at that time. So after looking at those predictions and previews, here is going to be my predictions for those 2 games. For Brentford and Leeds, Leeds could sneak something here. I think it's going to end as a 1-1 draw between Brentford and Leeds. And for Burnley and Newcastle, I think it's also going to be a 1-1 draw. And that will definitely mean for certain Leeds will go down in 18th place. And Burnley, by goal difference, will survive the Premier League season. That is my opinion. Because Burnley and Leeds, according to my predictions, are going to be matching their results. I'm actually going to give Leeds a little bit of a chance because I actually do not think that they can get a result against Brentford at all. But based on the fact that their only defeats have really come in the top 7 in the Premier League, I do think they will have some fight about them, and they will know that they've got to really go out. And because it's in Burnley's hands, they could have a bit of pressure with that. But I think because it will be a 1-1 draw for both of those games, it means Burnley will stay up. So the first thing that I've decided in a relegation picture is that Burnley will survive on 17th, and I'll think that Leeds will go down in 18th. The second thing I'm now going to decide is who's going to get the final Europa League place and the Conference League place. It is a fight between West Ham and Manchester United. And the 2 games that will determine this race are the 2 games as follows. Brighton play West Ham, and Crystal Palace have got a home game against Manchester United. So both of the chasing teams are away from home in the final day of the season, which is not very easy for both of these teams. Let's look back at the table and look at Brighton and West Ham. So West Ham, as you can see, 7th place. They're currently in the Conference League position. But look at their goal difference compared to Man United. Plus 11 makes plus 1. That is incredible that they've got a 10 goal difference advantage over Man United. The thing that they will be regretting is that they did blow a 2-0 lead against Manchester City. Conceding those 2 goals meant that they did drop 2 points. Had they held on for a win, they would be in the Europa League place by now, and Manchester United will be in the Conference League place. So West Ham have got to play a 10th place Brighton, where, as you can see with their form, 3 wins out of their last 6, and actually only 1 defeat in their last 6, which was against Manchester City. And Brighton have got the chance to potentially go all the way up to 8th place. So Brighton, if they do definitely want to have a top half finish, they've got a really small thing to play for there. Going into the head-to-head record, look at this record here. In their last 6 meetings, it has been 6 draws, which is quite impressive. I don't think West Ham have actually beaten Brighton since they got promoted into the Premier League. So West Ham have got a very rotten record against this Brighton team. And of course, Brighton's last home game was that 4-0 thrashing of Manchester United. So I do think, whilst they have not been good at home for this stage of the season, if they're playing with a bit of pride, West Ham are going to struggle. And I think West Ham definitely, now they've not got Europa League to deal with for the fact they lost out in the semi-final against the eventual winners Frankfurt, I think, you know, they shouldn't really have too much fatigue now, but they do have an abundance of injuries. So now let's go to and see Manchester United and Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace much lower down than Brighton, but to be fair, not by much, only by 3 points, and actually have got a positive goal difference as well in this stage of the table, which is something you don't see too often here. Crystal Palace did play yesterday and lost 3-2 to Everton, which has ultimately confirmed their survival in the Premier League. Congratulations to Everton and Frank Lampard there. So they will be playing Manchester United side, where as you can see, their form's been patchy. 2 wins in their last 6 and 3 defeats in their last 6 as well, coming in the hands of Liverpool, Arsenal, and that 4-0 embarrassing defeat to Brighton and Hove Albion. The head-to-head record between the two is quite interesting. So as you can see, Man United slightly have a stronger record in the Premier League this season. They did beat them by 1-0 all the way back in December time. Fred with the only goal, and we shan't talk about the one who assisted the goal. But Telles apparently hit the crossbar. Actually, I do remember this game very, very well. This was actually Manchester United's first game with Ralph Rangnick in charge. And they pulled in a terrific first half performance, but then struggled in the second half. So this is really going to see that if Man United have been able to kick on from that first game with Ralph Rangnick in charge. We are seeing potentially a lot of changes there. You know, this is very likely going to be Rangnick's last game. Up to 10 United players can have their last game in this game. And also, they've just scrapped the end of season awards for Manchester United as well, which I think fair play for them for doing so. They've definitely not deserved it. But with Crystal Palace, that recent defeat to Everton, they've not got much to play for. And one thing I will say as well about Palace is that now they've played very close into the final day of the season, I think Manchester United will feel a bit more fresh than Crystal Palace will as well. But at home, Crystal Palace have tend to look quite good. So a prediction for these two games is very, very tricky for me to predict. For the Brighton and West Ham game, I think Brighton might win, actually. I think Brighton have looked really, really good. I'm going to say a 2-1 victory to Brighton. And for Crystal Palace, Man United, I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw. Which basically means, because Manchester United didn't have a worse result for what West Ham did, Man United secured the final Europa League place, and West Ham are going to have to settle for Conference League after getting knocked out in the Europa League semi-final to the winners Frankfurt. So these are the two big positions in the table I've decided now. So the next part of the table I want to talk about is the final top 4 place. It feels really good as a Chelsea fan that we're not going to lose that 4th place. So the 2 games I'm going to be talking about which do decide the top 4 race is obviously, as I previously said, Norwich facing Tottenham Hotspur, and then Arsenal versus Everton. Those are the 2 games that are ultimately going to decide the top 4. Let's talk about Norwich and Spurs first. So as you can see here, Norwich last place, only 5 wins out of 37 all season. They did draw recently against Wolves, but look at that, 5 defeats in a row. Just been a very typical season for Norwich. If they've got a tiny bit of pride, if they can better Watford's result where they've got to play Chelsea, Norwich could potentially finish this Premier League season in 19th rather than 20th place. But, you know, is that anything to be proud about? Not really. Then they've got a Spurs team, which they are 3 points behind Chelsea, but now that I'm looking at this, actually, I did say Spurs had a chance, but now looking at our goal difference, 24 and 42, it's very unlikely Chelsea are going to fall out of 3rd place now. So if Spurs actually get a draw, it's enough. Because if you notice here, they're 2 points clear of Arsenal, and look how much better their goal difference is compared to the 2. So Spurs really can only lose top 4 if they lose to Norwich. So it is already a favourable position if you are a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Let's look at the previous record. As you can see, Spurs have got a really strong record against this Norwich team. Norwich did recently beat them in the FA Cup due to extra time and pens. But in the Premier League, their recent meeting has come in a 3-0 victory for Spurs. Mora, Sanchez and Son with the 3 goals. Conte was the manager for Spurs at the time. So at this moment of time, a very favourable position if you are a Spurs supporter. For Arsenal, you will need a lot of things to go your way if you do want to get top 4. So as you can see, Arsenal are 5th, 66 points, 2 points behind top 4. They are facing an Everton team where with 39 points, they have officially secured Premier League survival after winning very recently against Crystal Palace by 3-2. A 2-0 down actually they were at halftime, but a 3-goal comeback. Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison and Michael Keane with the goals, ultimately keeping Everton in the Premier League with a pitch invasion at the end as well. So what will be very interesting actually is just to see what sort of Everton team we're going to get. Arsenal know that they need to win. Arsenal need to win absolutely minimum, and if they don't beat Everton, it's impossible. It doesn't even matter if Spurs do drop points. People are saying it'll be very Spursy of them to actually drop points, Spurs, and lose top 4, but if you look at this here, this is very interesting. Look at Everton's great record against Arsenal. And Everton did beat Arsenal at Goodison. And this was under one for last game, so Rafa Benitez as well, before he did eventually get sacked. I remember it well. With Richarlison and Damari Gray in the 91st minute. Another yellow card with an excessive celebration there. But yeah, look at that. Rafa Benitez, 4-4-1-1. Richarlison with an 8.1. Arteta, and this was one of Arsenal's actual worst defeats of the season. They still were plummeting down the table at that time, so things were not looking great for Arsenal then. A much better position now because of their fantastic form in 2022, but if you can see from the table, their form has gone down. Look at that, those back-to-back defeats has put them in a really bad position against Newcastle and Spurs, of course. You know, it didn't matter for the fact they were beating great teams in Leeds and West Ham and Chelsea, of course, and Man United. They've now found themselves in a really sticky position and now are facing a real possibility of not getting top 4 now. So my prediction for these two games, for Norwich and Spurs, I think it's going to be a 4-0 away victory to Spurs. And for Arsenal and Everton, I think Arsenal might edge this because obviously Everton did play a couple of days ago, you know, before they play this game. So I think Everton will be a bit fatigued and I think it'll be a change squad as well. Arsenal will be gunning for it. So I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal. But because Spurs did not lose to Norwich, I'm predicting Spurs to get the final place in the top 4. So now we've only got one thing left to predict. Who's going to win the Premier League title? It's either going to be Manchester City or Liverpool. And the two games that will decide who wins the title are as follows. Liverpool, second place, will have to play Wolverhampton Wanderers. But Man City, currently first, will have to play against Aston Villa. Both Man City and Liverpool with a home game in the final day of the season. Let's go back to the table and see how close it is. So Liverpool, obviously, 89 points, 90 points is what Manchester City are on. And their forms are identical, but look at that draw there. When they did draw to Spurs, Liverpool, that was crucial. Had they got a win, then it would be Liverpool who are at the top right now. They're playing a Wolverhampton's Wanderers side, which if you look there, one of the worst informed teams in the league so far with 4 defeats and 6. They've been basically on the beach, Wolverhampton Wanderers, at this moment. So pretty poor attitude, but they've already confirmed, you know, a really good place in the table afterwards. They picked up some really good wins in the season. I can't deny that. And what they've got here, Liverpool, you look at that goal difference, 66 to 72. So what they've really got to hope for is that they've got to better Man City's result. So if Man City drop points, then Liverpool can definitely capitalise with a win. If they win and Man City draw, then Liverpool are champions. So I actually don't think goal difference is going to have a part to play unless it goes down to Man City losing and Liverpool drawing. Because if that happens, then Liverpool will be hoping Manchester City lose by 6 goals, which I don't think that is very likely going to happen against Aston Villa, I've got to say. If you look at the record between Liverpool and Wolves, it's very one-sided, the record. Look at that, 6 wins out of their last 6. It did take Liverpool quite a long time. I remember it. It was a stoppage time winner by Divock Origi. And how right is it that this could potentially be his final game for Liverpool as well? Because I do know he is leaving Liverpool after this season. So one of Origi's classics. He really has been a Liverpool legend. And it has been a frustrating game if you looked at, you know, the yellow cards, the changes. Wolves did very well until to concede in that late instance there. For Manchester City and Aston Villa, so Manchester City are first, 90 points. They have got the upper hand with +6 goal difference. And ultimately, a draw might even be enough if Liverpool can't beat Wolves. But Man City will be wanting to be ruthless, and to get the job done, a win would make things impossible for Liverpool. They're facing an Aston Villa side with only 2 wins in their last 6 and actually winless in their last 3 after losing to Liverpool very recently and then consecutive 1-1 draws to Palace and Burnley. So Aston Villa, for what I saw of them yesterday, they have got some great quality players. But going forward, they are incredibly wasteful. And Manchester City, you know, with their defensive problems right now, with the injuries that they got, Aston Villa can definitely cause them some problems. But I think if we look at the head-to-head record, it is going to be very one-sided in terms of the head-to-head. As you can see here, likewise with Liverpool and Wolves, very one-sided. 6 wins in a row for Manchester City. They did beat Villa 2-1 at Villa Park, so it was a close game actually in a reverse fixture when Gerrard was in charge. I think it was Gerrard's first defeat as manager, if I remember right. Diaz and Bernardo Silva with the 2 goals, and Ollie Watkins making it a little bit close there, but other than that, it definitely was Manchester City that edged it. So we could potentially see a closer game because both Liverpool and Manchester City had a tough game when they played their 2 opposing teams last time. But for what I can see in terms of their record, if I were to make my prediction now, I think between Liverpool and Wolves, I think we'll get a 1-0 win to Liverpool. And I think between Man City and Aston Villa, I'm going to say a 3-2 Man City win. And because I'm predicting Manchester City to win, it does mean that I am predicting Manchester City to win the Premier League with Liverpool in 2nd place. So then for the final 2 games with not much to play for, it is Chelsea versus Watford and Leicester versus Southampton. Both teams I've seen quite recently because Chelsea and Leicester played against each other. I can't predict Chelsea for a win because I always jinx them, so I'm going to go for 1-1 between Chelsea and Watford. And for Leicester Southampton, I don't think it's going to be 9-0 Leicester, but I do think Leicester will win. I'm going to say 2-1 Leicester. So as you can see here, guys, this is the final Premier League table with all 10 of my predictions. As I said, Leeds down on 36 points because of their goal difference. Burnley stay up 1 point worse than last season, Burnley are. Everton still survived despite the result I predicted them. As you can see, West Ham with 56, they lose to Brighton. My prediction, they will get Conference League. Manchester United with a draw, 59 points, which is very embarrassing for Manchester United. Arsenal with a win will be on 69 points, but it won't be enough as I'm predicting Spurs to thrash Norwich with 71 points. Chelsea with a draw against Watford just edge out in 3rd place by 1 point, but we pretty much confirmed it anyway because of our goal difference. And as you can see with the title, Liverpool 92 points and Man City 93. I'm predicting both of the top 2 to win their final games, and that is what I think will happen. So guys, that wraps it up for these final predictions of the Premier League. I will be streaming the final day. I think I'll be watching Manchester City and Aston Villa. I think there'll be a good amount of goals in that game. So make sure 3:30 on this Sunday, make sure you check out my channel because we'll be covering all 10 games together. We'll be reacting as the goals go in, and hopefully we'll be seeing some drama. I've been pretty boring my predictions because it's pretty much the same table staying the same. So we'll see if there's any twists and turns throughout the 90 minutes of the final day of the season. So guys, if you liked what you see, please give the video a like to just tremendously help the channel. Please do hit that subscribe button. It also really helps the channel, and please share this channel to as many people as you can. All of that really helps too. Now wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. If you saw the end of this video, as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.